next speaker for today is Sri Gaurang Das Ji. Sri Gaurang Das Ji has touched and transformed countless lives through his activities and different roles he has been adapting to drive change in society. As a mindful leadership consultant, he is running initiatives related to meditation, yoga, and preventive de addiction, thus empowering thousands of youth to positively transform their lives. He is also involved in training future bureaucrats and public leaders in responsible, mindful leadership with character and integrity.
Hello.
Being a corporate coach, he is giving guidance to corporate leaders and is the convener of various conferences to
Yes.
bring like minded people together to contribute to society.
Uh,
He is an environmental steward and has implemented sustainable initiatives in Govardhan Eco Village. He is an emerging social reformer and
Acha.
is facilitating transformation in the lives of tribal villagers through various
Oh,
social and economic interventions. We feel extremely honored to have you with us today, sir.
Thank you very much. And I request everybody to mute their, audio so that we can have an uninterrupted session. So the world population has increased from 1 billion way back in 1800, and today it's close to 7.7 billion. And it took nearly 7 centuries for the population to double from 0.25 billion in 800 AD to 0.5 billion in 1550 AD. But now, the fastest doubling of the world population happened between 1950 and 1987, when the world population grew from 2.5 billion to 5 billion in just 37 years, and the peak population growth of 2.1% in 1962. So by 2056, it is estimated that we will hit approximately 10 billion world population. So actually, the Sustainable Development Goals have been adopted by the United Nations from 2015, and it provides a blueprint for the shared prosperity in a world where people can live productive, vibrant, and peaceful in a healthy planet. So today's discussion is on stress. And so we are talking about not how to improve technology, but having improved technologically, still we are experiencing great dichotomy in increased levels of stress. So the combination of peaceful people and prosperously green planet would be the ideal recipe for harmony and balance. As many of you are aware, the United Nations General Assembly resolved to observe June 21st every year as the International Day of Yoga. And this was done in December 2014. So there are 4 reasons why the International Day of Yoga was introduced at United Nations level. First, the United Nations, they saw that it is important to provide individuals and populations clear choices and lifestyle patterns which foster good health. Second, the United Nations also was aware of the fact that unless there is proper global health, there will not be a long-term development paradigm. And therefore, countries which are aware of certain soft powers, knowledge, which can help an individual wire better, through that exchange of the best practice and international cooperation, one will be able to adopt a better individual lifestyle, devoid of extremes. Third, basically, United Nations recognized that yoga provides a holistic approach to health and well-being. And fourth, actually, they wanted a platform by which the benefits of such self-control and how the self-control improves health of population, that was supposed to be disseminated through this. And therefore, when we are speaking about modern day scenario, we find that with respect to people's anxiety levels, 300 million people across the world are experiencing symptoms of stress and anxiety disorder. And stress is defined as the gap between expectation and reality. When there is a gap between expectation and reality, when the reality is much lower than what your expectation is, then one experiences stress. And so, Patanjali Rishi, in his famous Yoga Sutras, has defined yoga as Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Yoga means to calm the waves or the ripples of disturbance which are caused upon the waters of the mind, and to reunite the mind to its state of peace and calm. Bhagavad Gita defines yoga as Yogasthaha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. When one's focus is on achievement, one practices karma yoga. When one's focus is on acquisition of knowledge, one practices jnana yoga. When one's focus is on perfection, one practices Ashtanga yoga. And when one's focus is on selfless service with love, then one focuses on bhakti yoga. So just before the battle of Kurukshetra, when 640 million soldiers were assembled with the deadliest weapons to fight to finish war, Arjuna, in that state of despair and stress, turned to Krishna. What was the cause of Arjuna's stress? Arjuna was an accomplished, experienced fighter, and fighting for him was absolutely the easiest thing to do. So when Arjuna saw Dhritarashtra, when Arjuna saw in front of him Duryodhana and Dushasana, so Arjuna was fully charged up to fight. But then Krishna brought Arjuna's chariot in front of Bhishma and Drona. And when Arjuna saw his grandfather Bhishma, Arjuna started thinking, am I a warrior or a grandson? When he saw Drona, he started thinking, am I a student or a warrior? So therefore, at that moment, although there was an opportunity for external conflict for which Arjuna was ready, before he actually began the external conflict, he had to resolve and deal and conquer over his internal conflict, which was caused as a result of conflicting identities between being a student, a grandson, and a warrior. And so Krishna realized that Arjuna's Swadharma is a warrior, Arjuna's Subhava is a warrior, but he needs to now learn about something which is beyond his Swadharma and Subhava. He has to be taught about his Swarupa, which does not change in spite of the changing identities. And therefore, the root cause of stress is the gap between expectation and reality. The root cause of expectation is rooted in our multiple changing identities. And connected to those identities, we imagine a whole lot of activities to do and not do, socially acceptable and not acceptable things. And therefore, when a student fails his exam, it's a gap between his expectation and reality. It is a huge change from a self-identity of being a successful student. It is a huge change for the parents whose identity as competent parents who can take care of their children's education gets jolted because of seeing those grades. So the child is in anxiety, the kids are in, the parents are in anxiety, The extended family members and relatives are in anxiety. The neighbors are in anxiety. And all this because of these identities which keep changing. And therefore, Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, because Arjuna, in that state, he said, Visrijya sasharam chapam shokasam vignamanasa. I will place my Gandiva on the ground. I will not fight. So Arjuna, the greatest powerful warrior, experienced paralysis in decision making. Why? Because he was not able to decide for sure which identity to follow. His identity as a warrior, or as a student, or as a grandson. And therefore, when external multiple identities experience conflicting positions and they paralyze our decision making, that is the time we realize that all problems in life do not have simple answers, but some answers are only created when we rise above that particular situation. Just like when there is a traffic jam, we may be able to resolve the traffic jam. Sometimes we may not be able to resolve the traffic jam. But when one sits into a helicopter and takes off, one flies above the problems of the traffic jam. So similarly, Krishna is speaking the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna to elevate him above the ground level problems, so that from a panoramic view, he can actually understand in the right context what are his real problems and what does he need to do. And therefore, Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita because Arjuna, he could not decide what to do. There was a paralysis in decision making, and such paralysis in decision making is ultimately what is known as depression, when one loses purpose to fight, when one does not see the need to fight, and so one becomes hopeless. So Krishna injected hope within Arjuna by speaking the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita. And therefore the famous verse which Krishna speaks is Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala heturbhu mate sangotsva karmani. Arjuna, you always do your work. Do not expect the fruits. Do not think yourself in charge. Do not think I will run away from the battlefield. So therefore, when we are speaking about overcoming stress, the Bhagavad Gita speaks about various types of yoga. And yoga emphasizes on increasing one's awareness. We are living in a world where we are constantly bombarded by weapons of mass distraction. There are smartphones, billboards, laptops, headphones, GPS devices, and so many things. And we are in the midst of all these television crowds, etc., etc. And so, why the distraction is so attractive? Because the brain processes distraction as something new. And anything new releases dopamine levels in the brain, the neurochemical which is associated with pleasure and reward. And so Microsoft conducted a study in 2017 and came to the conclusion that the distraction levels have gone down from 12 seconds in 2012 to 8 seconds in 2017. Even a goldfish has, an attention span of 9 seconds. So our situation has become worse than that even of a goldfish with respect to attention span. And people are spending several hours a day on their smartphone devices or on their internet, on the laptops. And of course, today, with the global pandemic, it's become the need of the hour. So the number of internet users which were there in the year 2000 were only around 400 million. That has grown to more than 4.5 billion in the year 2020. So from 400 million to 4.6 billion is a huge increase. And almost 65% of the internet users who are there in India, they have to use internet daily. So almost 40% of the global population has internet access, but the addiction rate of internet is almost 6%. And so 12% of the internet pages, websites are pornographic. And this translates to approximately 2.3 billion pornographic web pages in 2018. And so, what is shocking in India is that the percentage of pornographic consumers below the age of 24 in India is 48%. And it is much higher than the global average in this age group, which is 31%. So every single second, around 30,000 users are watching pornography on the net and spending $3,000 every second. Every single day, 2.5 billion emails containing pornography are sent or received, and around 68 million search queries related to pornography are released on the net. And so the internet porn industry has grown to approximately $13 billion worldwide. And distraction causes the American businesses an average of $650 billion of loss every year. And 64% of all accidents in the highways in America are caused due to distraction. So, when we speak about stress, we should first address the lack of mind control, the lack of self-control, the lack of self-management. Because if we get a postgraduate management degree or diploma, then we are simply becoming equipped with knowledge by which we can control others. But where is the knowledge by which we can control our own selves? And therefore, not just in internet usage, but 42% of the adults in the world in 2010 consumed alcohol. Thankfully, in India, that number was only 15% in 2010, whereas countries like France have a rate of almost 95% adults consuming alcohol. And alcohol is responsible for 2.8 million premature deaths globally. And 5.8 lakh deaths happen every year in India due to alcohol addiction and consumption. Now, in the period from 1900 to 2000, smoking killed around 100 million people. But now, in the period of 2000 to 2100 period, in this, as they call Shatak, 2000 to 2100, in this year, 100 years period, compared to 100 million in 1900 to 2000, 2000 to 2100 is going to kill approximately 1 billion people or 1,000 million people, a 10 times increase. And globally, we find that the smoking kills approximately 6 million people every single year. And now we are having like this session for almost like 40 minutes to an hour. And as per statistics, addiction to smoking and experiencing passive smoking kills approximately 1 person every second. So therefore, if there is a global population with no self-restraint, with no self-control, and they not only harm themselves because of this anxiety and stress which they are experiencing, and they are trying to remove this anxiety and stress by distracting their mind through addicting substances, through addicting internet images, and they are just trying to hide their real problem. So therefore, a population which does not have self-control and self-restraint will be stressed. And therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Yahi samsparshaja bhoga dukkhayona evate adyantavanta kaunteya nateshu ramate budhaha. Krishna says that the impact of the senses with the sense objects, it creates various kinds of pleasures and pains. But ultimately, even if you experience pleasure, that pleasure caused by sense gratification is a cause of future pain. Just people, but also the impact on the environment is humongous. People say, "Arey, papi pet ka sawal hai, hunger is a big issue." But dear students, did you know 33% of the food for human consumption created worldwide is wasted, which is translating into 2.3 billion tons of food waste. And so almost 2 billion metric tons of municipal solid waste is produced annually across the world. And this will increase to 3.4 billion metric ton by 2050. But what is more shocking that out of this, only 13% of this waste is recycled and only 5.5% is composted. 76 million people in India do not have access to safe drinking water. 21% of India's diseases are waterborne. By 2030, 700 million people could be displaced due to intense water stress. And so if you consider globally 51 million square kilometer available for agriculture, 77% of this land is used for feeding the livestock, the animals, so that they can be slaughtered and then eaten up. And only 23% is allotted for growing crops for human consumption. So we can see that, with respect to our food choices also, there are climate change ramifications. And so in 2014, 36 billion tons of carbon dioxide was released, CO2 emissions, and 80% of the total energy used was contributed by fossil fuels. And so lack of self-control and discipline over food also causes huge amounts of deaths due to diseases. And so one of the largest killers in the world is cardiovascular diseases, and 18 million deaths happened in 2017. 18 million deaths is a huge number. And therefore, we should remember that food is there for us to remain healthy. But if we do not control, then that also adds to another level of physical stress, which creates then mental stress. 10 million deaths happen due to cancer and 5 million deaths happen due to obesity. So if you add 18 and 10, 28 and 5, 33 million deaths, doctors, they have published innumerable papers showcasing the close connection between stress, cancer, cardiovascular diseases, heart attacks, and obesity. And all of them have some common factor of stress. Therefore, all of this discussion reveals two things very clearly. Globally, people have lost their ability for sense control, for self-control. They are imbalanced physically, emotionally, socially, and this imbalance is taking a toll on the planet big time by accelerating climate change. And therefore, when we are talking about stress, the stress begins as a stress with oneself, within oneself. That stress within oneself leads to stress in one's relationships with others. That stress at individual and relationship and behavioral level and social level leads to stress at the environmental level, at the level of nature. And therefore, this is very important that the best way to overcome stress is to remember that the value of what we drive doesn't matter as much as the values which drive us. So spirituality and yoga empowers us to reclaim our destiny, to do our best to bring out our best, to attain our best. And therefore, we have to remain authentic, we have to remain honest, we have to remain sincere in our efforts. Any kind of cheating propensity has to be abandoned. So there was a cheater, he set up a clinic and he said, get treatment for 20 rupees. If you don't get cured, you will get 100 rupees back. So a college student thought, oh, it's a great way to cheat this guy. So he went inside and told the cheater that, sir, I've got a problem. I'm not able to taste anything. The cheater said, assistant, bring the medicine from box number 22 and put 3 drops in the student's mouth. The assistant put 3 drops. The student shouts, doctor, this is kerosene. And the doctor says, congrats, your sense of taste is restored. Give me your 20 rupees. So the angry student, he failed in his effort to cheat him. So he goes away and comes back and he says, sir, actually, I've lost my memory. I cannot remember anything. So the cheater shouts, assistant, bring medicine from box number 22 and put 3 drops in this student's mouth. And as soon as the student hears this, he's furious. He said, box number 22 is kerosene. You gave me the same thing some time ago to restore my taste. And the cheater says, congrats, you got your memory back. Give me your 20 rupees. The student is furious. He pays the money and goes away and thinks, I have to get his 100 rupees. So he goes to the cheater and says, sir, I have a problem with my eyesight. I can't see at all. So the cheater says, actually, I don't have any medicine for this. So you please take this 100 rupees. So the student takes the 100 rupees, stares at it and says, sir, this is not 100 rupees. This is 20 rupees. The cheater says, congratulations, your eyesight is restored. Give me your 20 rupees. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur calls this phenomena as Vanchita Vanchaka Sampradaya, the association of cheaters and the cheated. And therefore one must approach the practice of yoga with the sincerity and intensity of an honest practitioner. The serious practice of yoga transforms the selfish heart into a selfless one. Just because a thought is persistent does not make it pertinent. One must learn to peruse one's thought. Worry is the interest we pay on loans which we have not taken. Just reading more books on weight loss will not help us lose our weight. Getting opportunities is providence, and benefiting from them is diligence. So I stop at this stage and I ask anybody has any questions.
Thank you so much for such an enlightening session, sir. I am pretty sure everyone of us had something to learn from it. So, as I said, we can now proceed with the question answer round. If anyone has any questions for sir, they can type it in the chat box and I'll convey it to him. Any questions, you can type it in the chat box, we'll convey it to him. So one of the questions is that do you ever get stressed?
So it's an interesting question. Stress is to be compared like salt. You should not put more salt than required and not less salt than required. The right adequate amount of salt is required. So therefore, there are 2 types of stresses. One is distress and the other is eustress. So eustress is positive stress when you're looking forward to a responsibility, to a challenge, and you want to do it. So therefore, that is the stress of a well-prepared student who has prepared and revised several times and is looking forward to the exam, and at the moment the question paper comes in his hand, that stress which he goes through is eustress. And then when a student who has not attended classes, has no idea what's going on, and still somehow has a desire to pass, and then tries to do some last minute study, and then he gets the question paper, he experiences distress. So therefore, use stress is positive. Otherwise, one will just become complacent. So we are looking at the dealing with the right amount of stress, not too little, not too much. Thank you.
Okay, sir. And sir, the second question is, how do we get control over our senses?
That's a very good question. So, if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. This is true for all of us. And we may not be able to do great things, but we can do small things with great love. And for each minute you are angry, you lose 60 seconds of happiness. So just like when you're riding a bicycle, to keep your balance, you must keep moving. So therefore, the efforts to self-control must continue. And even if we fail, we should remember that success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. And everyone thinks of changing the world, but very few think of changing themselves. So therefore, it is very important that we work on self transformation with equal diligence and attention, and understand that uh, if we focus our entire life simply on what we wish to achieve and do not focus on what we should be, then we will lead this life in anxiety and leave this life with misery. So in 1888 in Cannes, the French newspapers reported the death of a man. The merchant of death is dead. And it was about uh, actually Alfred Nobel. So the person who had died was actually Ludwig Nobel, the brother of Alfred Nobel. But by mistake, the newspapers mentioned Alfred's name and they called him as the merchant of death. When Alfred, Nobel read this, he started thinking, is this how I will be remembered? And that inspired him to set aside a major part of the wealth for the Nobel Prize to avoid this kind of posthumous repetition. So therefore, wealth is the power to choose. Financial wealth is the power to choose how to spend money. Social wealth is the power to choose who to hang out with. Time wealth is the power to choose how do you want to spend your day. And your mind wealth is the power to choose how you want to give your attention. And so you have to develop the art of getting things done and also the art of leaving things undone. And you should be able to eliminate the essentials from the non essentials. So, therefore, how do you overcome? New goals will not deliver you new results. You have to have new lifestyle. And lifestyle means it is not just outcome, it is a process, which means that you should spend your energy in building better habits, not chasing better results. The cost of your good habits fare in the present, the cost of your bad habits you will experience in the future. And so you cannot buy three things in life: fitness, diet, and spiritual discipline. You have to invest in it. So, discipline is the fusion of intention with action, just as foods add to our physical weight, thoughts add to our mental weight. So, we have to choose both very carefully.
Yes, sir. And the next question is, how can we exercise dopamine detox?
Yeah, so Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yada viniyatam chittam atmanyevabhatishthate nisprah sarva kamebhyo yukta ityuchyate tada. Krishna says, mind in perfect discipline and fixed in pure transcendence, able yogis trade their lust for inner independence. यथा दीपो निवातस्थो नेङ्गटे सोपमा स्मृता योगिनो यदचित्तस्य युञ्जतो योगमास्थितः. Yogis contemplate the soul with mind always the same, just as lamps in a windless place burn with steady flame. Therefore, when you learn to make the mind steady through meditation, as described by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, then you will overcome the tendency of the mind to seek pleasure in the state of distraction. and you will experience pleasure in the mind in a focused stage. Over.
Yes, sir. Sir, one of the most common questions that has been asked is, would you like to give us any tips to increase our attention span?
Yes, begin with the most important activities of the day, which is related to your core purpose, student, engineer, doctor, whatever you may be. So whatever is your core element, you should begin your day with that. And before you begin that, you should spend some time preparing your mind and consciousness. And just like physical net activity every day through a physical trainer makes the body robust, like that daily meditation makes the mind robust. And therefore you can chant various mantras or do various meditation techniques, whatever helps you try to improve your mental strength and resilience. Thank you.
Sir, one last question, if you could answer. What is the difference between Swadharma and Swarup? This has been asked by Mayuk Biswas.
Yes, swadharma is one's occupation, and the occupation is many times because of one's educational qualifications and one's nature. Swarupa is the soul within, which does not change. And therefore, in the second chapter, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna quotes many verses. Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya namani grinani naroparani. The bodies may change, but the soul does not change. And that unchanging soul within is our original nature, is our original identity. So therefore, that is Swarupa. Swabhava is our nature, acquired through our psychophysical conditioning, and Swadharma is our occupation. So our occupation is different from our nature, is different from our original identity. So Swarupa is the original eternal spiritual identity as Atma. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. It was extremely an honor to have you with us today.
Thank
Uh,
you.